Dems pop their dentures when Schiff finally gets censored. And so the House condemns the lies of the man with the zombie eyes. Last night, the House voted on party lines to censure Adam Schiff for promoting the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, which was as believable as Brian Kilmeade getting fan mail. 2 for 2. Schiff becomes only the 26th member ever to be censured, but to his credit, he's still the only member to have a 12-inch neck.
Adam Schiff walked in expecting autopilot, another controlled appearance where nothing goes off script and no one pushes back. He carried himself like someone used to soft questions and polite agreement. What he didn't expect was Greg Gutfeld already waiting, calm, amused, and fully aware that Schiff was about to step into a buzzsaw. Schiff arrived with rehearsed composure and stuck lines refined through years of repetition. Greg arrived ready to tear apart the act. While Schiff tried to stay inside the safe lines of political theater, Greg ignored the script entirely, turning the exchange into a sharp, unpredictable spectacle that Schiff simply wasn't prepared for. From the very first moment, the balance was already tilted.
Poor Adam. He really thought he had him. Well, we've talked about who won the impeachment trial. Now let's talk about who didn't. As I've said before, don't think the Dems aren't going to stop trying to find dirt on Trump. They'll look anywhere. Hell, they'll go to a local high school if they thought they'd find the goods there. Right, Adam?
If you enjoyed this takedown, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Schiff tried to control the moment with procedure, long explanations, committee jargon, and polished talking points designed to sound authoritative. It didn't work. Greg lit the whole scene up with jokes that hit harder than any formal accusation ever could. Schiff stayed trapped in his comfort zone, clinging to rules and decorum like they still carried weight. Greg saw that restraint as a weakness and brushed it aside with sheer amusement. This wasn't a debate of ideas, it was a live unraveling, a public takedown happening in real time.
What do you think I was going to say? Being censored, which is basically an official serious scolding, is a punishment just below being expelled from Congress. But when Speaker McCarthy made the announcement, Democrats did what they do best, mindlessly scream hysterical nonsense.
The resolution adopted. Without objection, the motion to consider is laid on the table. House will be in order. The House will be in order. I have all night.
I have all night.
This wasn't a battle of ideas, it was exposure. Schiff walked in carrying years of political muscle memory, yet still looked completely lost. He came ready for a press conference and found himself in a fight he couldn't navigate. Every dramatic pause and every carefully rehearsed expression only underscored how out of touch he was with what was actually happening. He acted like a leading man who believed the spotlight alone gave him authority. Instead, the performance fell apart in real time. What was left wasn't conviction or control, just tired theatrics and gestures repeated so often they had lost all meaning.
Sure that we uncover the full details about the conditionality of either the military aid or that meeting with the Ukraine president. It may not be necessary to take steps that might reveal the whistleblower's identity to do that.
Not necessary so much for transparency, but like everything, the Dems haven't thought this through. So not only are you going to impeach Trump, you're going to do it in secret, in the dark, reversing an election based on hearsay from some anonymous guy you will never ever see who has ties to Democrats.
Schiff leaned into his favorite routine, teasing explosive revelations that never actually came. The moment never arrived, just endless build-up with nothing behind it. He played the part of a truth warrior, but the big reveal kept getting postponed. His warnings started to feel like promises that would never be kept. Always urgent, never delivered. Every time he hinted at a breakthrough, the emptiness became more obvious. What was meant to feel dramatic ended up feeling hollow, leaving viewers less impressed and increasingly impatient. The so-called bombshells never exploded. They fizzled one by one until the pattern was impossible to ignore.
For a party named after democracy itself, they do sure hate it when people vote on stuff. But he did have to go to the front of the chamber known as the Well. Think of it as like, like a walk of shame, and not the kind I did this morning leaving Hemmer's place. I only had one shoe. To discuss this further, we go to the man himself. And audience, no booing. We are a respectful show here. Please welcome Congressman Schiff. How are you?
Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you. Oh, yeah.
That's when the doubt fully sets in. People stop wondering what's coming and start questioning whether anything was ever real at all. Schiff's credibility doesn't just wobble, it vanishes. He isn't exposing secrets, he's selling previews for events that never happen. Year after year, it's the same routine. Dramatic claims, ominous warnings, and absolutely nothing to show for it. The names and labels change, but the outcome never does. He's become political clickbait in human form, loud, urgent, and empty. Every hearing is billed like a spectacle, and every time it ends the same way, silence where substance should be. Even longtime supporters see the pattern by now. The suspense died years ago, yet Schiff keeps walking on stage as if the audience hasn't already watched this act fail again and again.
We knew it would be bad when the Republicans took over, but it's far worse than we expected.
Cue the violins, people. But can he promise you this?
But I can promise you this is not the end of my fight for our democracy. This is just the beginning. Please join us and contribute today. Thank you.
Here's my question. How much will it cost for you not to run?
Schiff's warnings now hit like stories told in an empty room, meant to scare, but missing an audience. Then Greg steps in. No notes, no solemn tone, just instinct and precision. Schiff acts like the grim investigator, treating every sentence as a national emergency. Greg doesn't debate the message, he dismantles the performance behind it. Seriousness meets ridicule, and ridicule wins. Schiff tries to create fear, but Greg turns it into comedy, and the audience follows. Once the laughter starts, Schiff's authority crumbles. His alarms sound weak, worn out, and irrelevant. Greg cuts through the act with sarcasm sharp enough to show how hollow it really is. Watching it felt like someone dragging a stack of footnotes into a roast battle and expecting respect instead of laughter. He didn't need charts, slides, or graphics, just perfect timing and instinct. Schiff clung to his carefully constructed persona, but it unraveled fast. Every joke peeled away another layer until the serious statesman routine collapsed before everyone's eyes. Authority depends on the audience playing along, and the moment they laughed, it was over. Schiff's confidence cracked, his delivery faltered, and the image he spent years cultivating vanished instantly. He walked in expecting deference and left as the punchline. After years of overhyped warnings and dramatic claims that led nowhere, the crowd wasn't angry, they were amused. And that laughter didn't just embarrass him, it erased whatever patience the public had left. Schiff tried to push through, sticking to his script as if volume and persistence could restore authority. It only made things worse. Every attempt to sound serious fed the joke, giving Gutfeld even more room to press. The gap between how Schiff saw himself and how he appeared on screen grew by the second. What should have been a dignified presence turned stiff and exposed. The act didn't just fail, it was laid bare. And once a performance is exposed, there's nothing left to defend.
That and the fact that Schiff hasn't blinked since 1992. And he didn't take the news so well. The disgraced Democrat went on TikTok to complain. Behold.
Hello, I'm Congressman Adam Schiff with some troubling news. Today, Kevin McCarthy removed me from the House Intelligence Committee, all for doing my job, for holding Trump accountable and standing up to the extreme MAGA Republicans.
The more Schiff leaned into his dramatic posture, the easier he made himself to tear apart. Every serious pause, every knowing glance only widened the opening. Greg didn't need prep. Schiff handed him the material on a silver platter. Mid-sentence, Schiff tried to project authority, flashing that familiar expression meant to signal hidden knowledge and moral superiority. Instead of commanding the room, he triggered real, uncontrollable laughter. Not polite chuckles, but actual uproar. That's when the shift became permanent. Greg refused to play by Schiff's rigid rules and flipped the entire exchange on its head. While Schiff buried himself in vague language and recycled seriousness, Greg treated the moment like open season, turning stiffness into fuel. Schiff had no defense against ridicule, and it showed. Once the tone broke, the performance collapsed in full view of everyone watching. You can't counter a joke with slides, and you can't intimidate someone who refuses to take you seriously. The instant the audience laughed, Schiff's image started to disintegrate in real time. Worse, he didn't notice. Locked into his script, he kept repeating lines as if muscle memory could save him. Every sentence made things worse. The harder he pushed, the faster it burned. What he thought was momentum was actually collapse. He mistook attention for belief, but it wasn't. His authority depended entirely on appearing grave and untouchable. Once that cracked, There was nothing underneath. Just a man in a suit clinging to relevance while credibility evaporated live on air. Years of repetition caught up with him in minutes, and the audience finally stopped pretending to listen. There was no pivot because the act itself had no flexibility. Schiff's authority only worked in rooms where people played their assigned roles. This wasn't one of those rooms. The laughter rewrote the rules instantly, and he had no answer. Every attempt to regain control only exposed how little he had left. What once passed for gravitas now looked fragile, desperate even. By the time the moment ended, the damage was permanent. Trust doesn't collapse loudly. It dissolves when people stop taking you seriously. And on that stage, in that moment, Schiff crossed that line for everyone to see.
Yesterday's hearings, I had so much fun. I'm back, baby. Pretty soon I'll have my high-back chairman's chair again.
I don't understand. You're happy I didn't realize you were, don't you realize that you were censored by a majority in Congress?
Yes, isn't it wonderful? I'm very pro-censorship, censorship. Oh my, that's hard to say. The point is, the cameras are on me again, and this time I'm ready for my close-up, Mr.
Schiff seemed to believe repetition could stand in for credibility. If he said the same things enough times, people would mistake familiarity for truth. That strategy collapses fast in front of someone like Greg. Instead of playing along, Greg tore the routine apart, exposing just how stale it had become. The so-called bombshells were echoes. The scandals reheated so many times they had lost all heat. Each joke forced the audience to realize how long they'd been watching the same performance, just with new headlines. Schiff acted like he was still commanding attention. Unaware the crowd had already moved on. He thought he was delivering a serious political moment, but the room treated it like a roast. He came to lecture and ended up center stage while his authority was laughed apart. Convinced he was winning, he missed that the illusion was crumbling in plain sight. He mistook resistance for engagement, assuming noise meant influence, but it didn't. It meant the spell was broken. Every callback to past warnings only reminded viewers how often those warnings had led nowhere. What once passed for authority now felt dated, a routine surviving on habit rather than relevance. Greg didn't just interrupt the performance, he exposed how long it had been running on fumes. Once that hit, there was no restoring the weight Schiff thought he still carried. The room had already decided this wasn't leadership, it was repetition finally catching up with its author. By the end, Schiff was little more than a man in a suit, insisting he still mattered. Every wave of laughter stripped away another layer of authority until nothing was left to protect. Once mockery became more compelling than his message, the outcome was sealed. He walked in expecting respect and left as the punchline. Greg didn't need facts or speeches. He revealed the emptiness of the act itself. What Schiff thought was serious drama was just a tired production long past cancellation. And once that illusion collapses in front of a live audience, there's no reset button. From then on, every dramatic pause and every promise of evidence reminded viewers of the night the performance imploded on camera. The damage didn't end with the segment, it calcified. Every future serious tone carries the memory of laughter cutting through it. Every warning is filtered through the image of a man exposed mid-performance. Authority, once laughed away, doesn't quietly return. It stays broken. What unfolded wasn't just embarrassment, it was a public downgrade. Broadcast, archived, and impossible to undo. The audience no longer saw power, they saw the joke.
Troubled by this. Even though I know it's not real, I'm bothered. Finally, Congressman, you're running for an open U.S. Senate seat in California. What's your message to voters who might be skeptical of your agenda?
I think you mean my agenda. That's how I say it now. I like the hard G, because that's what I'll do. Do you like impeachment? That's my agenda. Vote for me and I'll do it agenda. And I have one man to thank for all of this. The Orange Man himself. If you excuse me, I'm going to go celebrate with a glass of wine.
Done for Adam Schiff. Because he created 3 years of a massive fallacy that did so much damage to this country and made us miss probably one of the most important stories of our lifetime. We were having hearings on impeachment while the coronavirus was exploding.
After that moment, Schiff stopped being remembered as a force and started being remembered as a spectacle. The laughter stuck to him, like a reputation cracked in full view of the public. What unfolded didn't feel like a debate, it felt like a verdict delivered before the case even began. For years, Schiff worked to present himself as the serious guardian, the responsible adult in the room. That image didn't fade slowly, it collapsed in minutes. A few well-timed jokes stripped away the authority he had spent years building. Instead of looking like someone exposing real danger, he came across like a man panicking over threats no one else could see. Gutfeld didn't just undercut his points, he turned them into punchlines. And once rhetoric becomes comedy, it loses all power. Schiff wasn't controlling the moment anymore. He was trapped inside it, permanently cast as the setup instead of the speaker. The showdown revealed just how outdated that old style of political performance has become. Schiff keeps running the same worn script, convinced that a stern tone and grave expression still demand respect. They don't. The spell is broken, and he's far from alone. Many politicians still recycle fear, hint at hidden truths, and warn of looming disasters, hoping the audience falls for it. But humor cuts through that instantly. Greg proved that mockery is far more lethal than outrage. Once people laugh, the fear vanishes. Schiff became the perfect example of what happens when a career is built on atmosphere instead of substance. One sharp moment was enough to turn a self-styled watchdog into proof that recycled drama collapses the second it's treated like a joke.
That and the fact that Schiff hasn't blinked since 1992. And he didn't take the news so well, the disgraced Democrat went on TikTok to complain. Behold.
After that exchange, Schiff didn't walk away as the commanding figure he imagined. He left as a walking punchline. He wasn't undone by a headline or an investigation. He was undone by ridicule delivered effortlessly. That moment became the version of him people remember, and no amount of polished speeches can erase it. Gutfeld's mockery landed harder than any warning Schiff ever issued, stripping away the image of authority and replacing it with something far less flattering. What remained wasn't a powerful lawmaker, it was live late-night comedy material. For everyone watching, it became a lasting reminder of how quickly power collapses once it's laughed at. In the end, Schiff's reputation didn't need scandal or drama to fall apart. All it took was a punchline,